Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Seminar. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. If you are part of the people that have joined some white people to tell black people to forget about what happened to them during slavery and all that, you must really be high on something cheap, and that is from Timo or Chin. I don't care whatever you bought, whatever you're smoking. I thought at some point slavery was you guys' biggest achievement, and all of a sudden you guys are no longer proud of the same thing that was your biggest achievement. How come? It is only black people that I hear people say to forget about what happened to them, and I do not hear you people tell people Holocaust survivors or people that went through Holocaust to forget about what happened to them. And all of a sudden, I found out that slavery was beneficial to slaves. I never knew about all that. All these are coming up from you people. Whoa, black people should forget about it while you are still enjoying the benefits of those things black people's ancestors built, and you want them to forget about it. How do you want them to forget about the major thing that made them or that brought them where they are? Oh, I thought you guys said that our slavery didn't wasn't as we speak about it. So how do you want us to forget about it? You guys are banning books, you guys are banning everything. Why? Because all of a sudden slavery was violent. And who made it violent? Let's get into this.
I don't want to hear about fucking slavery from people who've never fucking had to deal with it. I don't want to hear about how I'm fucking racist for the last 40 years of my life because of something that happened 300, 400, 200 fucking years ago. Can we all look at each other and be like, all right, that happened 200 fucking years ago. Can we please work together now? Can we become something productive? I'm done hearing about it. If someone brings it up to me, I don't fucking care. I don't care what you call me. I don't care. I'm over it. I don't want to hear about fucking slavery from people who've never fucking had to deal with it.
We don't give a what you don't want to hear, round boy.
And to you and any other white man or woman who got a problem with it, do something about it. Bet you won't.
I don't want to hear about fucking slavery from people who've never fucking had to deal with it. I don't want to hear about how I'm fucking racist for the last 40 years of my life because of something that happened 300, 400, 200 fucking years ago. Can we all look at each other and be like, all right.
The reason why this conversation is a never-ending one is because people who take that stance are always willfully obtuse on the subject of oppression when it comes to us. It's so easy to run to the argument that slavery happened 200 years ago, 300 years ago, because then you could just close your mind off to everything that happened after slavery, like i.e. Jim Crow. Jim Crow was this lifetime. Ruby Bridges has an Instagram account. Many of our parents are alive, are only in their 50s and 60s, especially those of us who have families born down south. My father was born in 1965 in Mississippi, a few months before the Voting Rights Act was passed. Guess how old he is? He's barely 60 years old. Jim Crow was just as bad as slavery. But every time we have this conversation, you gloss over Jim Crow and just jump to, oh, well, that happened 300 years ago. Get over it. We have parents still alive from the era where, I'll give you something real quick. When I say my father was born in Mississippi, and I talked to him and my grandmother who are still alive about that time period, just something small. A lot of people, a lot of our parents who were born in Jim Crow couldn't be born in hospitals in the South. Because of lack of resources like driving. There weren't many hospitals in rural areas, or they didn't have adequate staff for the maternity wards. So it was just easier for black people giving birth to give birth at home with midwives. I am the first generation, and I'm 30 something, I'm 38. I am the first generation of males, or just in general from my father's line, paternally, to be born in a hospital. I'll say that slowly. I am the first generation as a 38-year-old to be born in a hospital, because back in Mississippi when my dad was born, it didn't make sense for people to try to drive to Memphis to find a hospital if they were going in labor, knowing they wouldn't get adequate treatment. So they would be born in a shotgun house to a midwife. That's how recent this stuff is, and the people from that time period are still alive. Even after Jim Crow, because people say, oh, well, now you're bringing up Jim Crow. Even after Jim Crow, things were still happening. Redlining, lynchings, not just down south, but up north. I said this about 3 times on 3 different occasions, and I'll say it again. Maybe the algorithm will pick it up. For those of you in New York City that thinks it's so liberal, go look up Rosedale, Queens in the 70s and see what was happening to our community in Rosedale, Queens. I'll say it a 3rd time. Maybe the algorithm will pick it up. Rosedale, Queens in the 70s. There's a whole documentary on what was happening during that time period. That wasn't 300 years ago. Also in New York City, close to the 90s, meaning this lifetime, 30 years ago, 1989. In Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. I want to say Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. People were getting chased and lynched. Ever heard of the name Yusef Hawkins? Go look up Yusef Hawkins in 1989 in New York City. And many, many other things that happened after Jim Crow. So no, we don't have to look to 300 years so long ago when we have stuff happen. Oh, I bring it current, because then people say, oh, well, that's 30 years ago. Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina, you were treating citizens like fugitives. People from Louisiana are on this TikTok app sharing their experiences of how they were treated as American citizens in their own country in Louisiana when them levees broke. So don't sit up here and act like institutional racism happened so long ago and you just need to man up and stop crying. Hurricane Katrina. They let them people die as American citizens. That's why we bring it up. Because every time we try to get over it, another situation happens and we have to look and say, well, damn.
Imagine this. You and your entire family are asleep in your home, peaceful, safe, and happy. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, strangers break in. They're armed. They beat your father, they chain your mother, and they drag your children out of bed crying. They don't speak your language. They don't even care about your rights because they're not here to negotiate. They load you onto a filthy ship, and for weeks you're shackled in your own waste. You're barely fed with people dying next to you. You hear screaming. You see children being thrown overboard. And this is not war. This is business. When you reach their land, they sell you like cattle. Your family's ripped apart forever. Your name is taken. Your language is forbidden, and your God is erased. And your body, well, it belongs to them now. You will be worked until you die, and your children will be born into the same horror. Your grandchildren will never know freedom, and 400 years later, their descendants will look at your descendants and say, why can't y'all just get over it? The transatlantic slave trade wasn't just bad. It was a multi-century genocide masked in economics. It wasn't just physical slavery. It was a erasure of entire cultures, families, languages, and futures for profit. If that had happened to your family, would you just move on?
Why do Black people have to forget about slavery? Black people have to forget about slavery because we are still under attack currently today. So until we can focus and solve the issues that we have right now, we cannot go back into the past and correct what happened 400 years ago. We are under attack today. So we need to start fixing and resolving the issues that we have today with the system. If we could go back, we can get money for slavery, right? And it's not going to help us because they're using different tactics today. Similar tactics, yes. Know your history so that it doesn't repeat. But our history, it extends before slavery. But before we can even untangle that cord, we have to take the shackles off that we have on today. Like mass imprisonment, poor education, incorrect identification. We cannot fix slavery has already happened, and especially if you consider that black families and black people were thriving post-slavery. So slavery, yes, it did something, right? But it did not limit us. It did not stop us from succeeding once we became free. It's what started happening to us after slavery that got us in the position that we are in right now. So we have to forget about slavery currently and fix what's going on right now. Fix what's happening right now. We got to counter their attacks on us right now. Then after we get to shore, because we're in the water trading, once we get to shore, then we can go back and make them pay for what they did. Because right now, slavery is just a distraction, and they know that. We gotta focus.
But all people were enslaved at some point. Oh? That's your rebuttal to 400 years of racialized slavery, generational trauma, and state-sanctioned oppression in America? Okay. That's what you're gonna stand on, huh? So let's break this down. Yes, historically, different groups have experienced some form of servitude. The word slave actually comes from Slav, referring to the Slavic people who were captured and sold across Europe during the Middle Ages. Slavic people were the original linguistic inspiration for that term. But here's the problem. That history is not interchangeable with what happened during the transatlantic slave trade. And I know you know it. Because when someone says all people were enslaved, what they're doing is minimizing, not contextualizing. They're not here to talk history, they're here to shut you up. They're not shouting all slavery matters when you're bringing up Irish indentured servitude. They only do it when the topic is Black suffering. It's the historical remix of All Lives Matter, right? Designed to erase, deflect, and dilute. And let's not get it twisted. Chattel slavery in America wasn't just labor. It was breeding, branding, rape, terror, and generational theft. No other system of slavery in modern history turned human beings into hereditary property, with legal status lower than livestock. So yeah, all kinds of people were enslaved. But not all people were systematically dehumanized, commodified, and criminalized for centuries, with laws, armies, and churches backing it all up. So if your go-to move when Black people bring up our history is to say, but everyone suffered, what you're really saying is, you're uncomfortable with the truth, so you're going to settle for a distraction. And that's not education, that's erasure. And I'm not tolerating that here. So if that's what you're on, go ahead and see yourself out. Or I can help you. The choice is yours.
Hey guys, it's Amateur Law Prof here, and I'm pissed. Trump says we talk too much about slavery, and he wants the Smithsonian to water it down. No. Slavery built the money. By 1860, enslaved people were worth more than factories and railroads. Cotton ran the export game. Wall Street banked it. You don't get over that. You inherit it. Reconstruction wasn't just a flop. It was shot in the street. Colfax in 1873, Wilmington in 1898. Then came Jim Crow. Thousands of lynchings to try to keep Black people in their place. Black codes that jailed idleness. Feds doing convict leasing. The 13th Amendment lets states work prisoners for pennies. That's not ancient, that's current policy. You move on to the Red Summer of 1919, Tulsa and Rosewood burned. Then the suits did the burning with paper. Redlining, GI Bill gatekeeping, covenants that said stay out. That is how you manufacture disproportionality. That is how you manufacture a wealth gap. Then you had the drug war. Crack hit neighborhoods, police hit back harder under the guise of community policing. Black Americans are locked up nearly 5 times more than whites. Inside is cheap labor with a pretty label. Now, critical race theory isn't about revising history, it's about coming with the receipts. Bell, Crenshaw, Harris, my own piece, Swept Under the Rug, shows how courts hide all this behind colorblind slogans. We don't talk too much about slavery. We talk too little. Teach it, fix it, get louder. And for God's sake, go to my TikTok shop and purchase A People's History of the United States. It's a good starter for learning about the failure of Black Reconstruction and learning about the history they didn't teach you in schools. I don't care if you get it from my shop, just get it from somewhere. Get it from a library. Until next time.
Y'all, it feels like the Twilight Zone, except for that I know this shit has been happening for a very long time, but the fact that we are like, oh, we're talking about slavery too much. We need to change things. We need to go into the Smithsonian and fix it up because, you know it was bad for Black people. It was bad for women. But like, we can't keep saying white people.
From this video, the guts that people have most times to come out, to tell Black people to get over some certain things is really very crazy. And it's only Black people that they tell this. I have never seen them go to a Holocaust survivors or to tell them that to get over what has happened to them and all that. But they are always in Black business to tell you that, something that happened 100 years ago. But you all are still enjoying the benefit, the fruits of everything Black people worked for. It is just how crazy some people are. If you are tired of hearing it, then close your ear, or you go to end and tell them to block your ear. Block your ear. Or if you people are tired of it, make provisions for reparations, because reparations is long overdue. The fact that people think it's okay to come out to get into Black business and tell them what to do and what not to do is really crazy. Now, it was because of you people that all of a sudden slavery became beneficial to people. They benefited from slavery and all that. It's really crazy that white people think it's okay, because this thing is like, it is not okay. It is not okay. To be fair, to come out and tell Black people to stop talking about slavery, we definitely will stop talking about it till thy kingdom come. Because it's not possible. Black people will continue to say it. At some point, you guys were really very brave, or you guys were very happy. You said it was one of your biggest strength and all that slavery happened. All of a sudden, and you people are hiding it. You people don't want people to know it. You people don't want to hear it. And you guys all of a sudden started banning books, ban all books. Work is where go broke, go woke and go broke. All those slangs that you guys came up with, just to make sure that Black history isn't kind of being closed up and all that. And in schools, all I hear is close anything that got to do with their history. The same history you guys were very proud of, all of a sudden they said it's violent. It's a violent history. Who made it violent? It was still the same people that said close all of it, trash the books and all that. And you want us to forget it when your very self is not even proud of it. I thought, no, before they were really proud, that was their, they are top people, they are gang, and now you guys are no longer ganging. You better be ganging, because Black people, even if you close all the museum and all that, Black people still know what happened to them. And we also, I am an African woman, and we are actually learning, so other people will get to know, because it is news that will have to continue to keep spreading, so people will get to know what you people did to my own people. It is really amazing how you people mount your cameras and come out to tell me that something that happened how many years. Did it actually end there? Each time I talk about reparations, you and I know this, I always say that it is just not about slavery, because the horrible things that happened after slavery or within that period of slavery, it was an eyesore. We talk about slavery, we talk about breeding plantation, which was one of the most benefited, prominent. You guys don't want to talk about all that, because you guys are no longer proud. All of a sudden, you are no longer proud of it. All of a sudden, you don't want your kids to know what you people, your ancestors did. All of a sudden, you guys do not want to tell them about the land and shit. All of a sudden, you guys don't want to tell them about the segregation, Jim Crow and all that. The Viagra's law, you guys don't want to talk about it. The Black Wall Street and all that. You guys don't want to tell us what happened to them. And you tell us that it was a mass riot. Oh, was it really a mass riot? I never knew. Oh, tell me something that I don't know. Talk about Viagra's law that happened to people that look like me. Or was it 8 times some people in some places, in some states, have to pay how much to vote? And you and I know that they do not have that money and they couldn't vote. If you think this is a lie, check out people in Mississippi. Even the last election, there is still survivor. So don't think it's just something that I am saying because I am talking. No, I am saying it. I have my facts. And you want to tell us to forget about the black people, to forget about it. It's never going to happen. Bye for now.